Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you played a game just for the vibes? Or a more pertinent question for this video would be, when was the last time you played a game that just felt like winter? A game feeling like winter, or any specific feeling for that matter, is something that is obviously a very subjective topic and depends on your definition or association with whatever the feeling is. And this being my second video on the topic, it's even changed a bit for myself as I've played more games over the last year, hence why I wanted to make a follow-up. For me, I tend to associate winter with both a dark melancholy and comforting loneliness, as well as memory of playing specific games at specific points in my life that just so happen to coincide with the winter season. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a couple games that are personal to me and a couple other games that really just fit the winter vibe. The first one of these is a relatively new game and series for me, that being Resident Evil 2. The Resident Evil series is one that I have talked a little bit about on this channel as of late, and is one that I had never really found myself getting into up until this year, when I finally decided to really give the 2, 3, and 4 games a shot in preparation for hopefully maybe playing Resident Evil 9. And while I really enjoyed Resident Evil 3 and what I've played so far for, I'm I think in chapter 11, there's just something about Resident Evil 2 that oozes a winter vibe. It is simultaneously dark and moody and scary and lonely, and also comforting in that loneliness as you're traversing through the seemingly empty halls of the Raccoon City Police Department, throughout the underground sewers, and even through the city a little bit. It is a game that completely and utterly gets the vibe that it's going for, that being this survival horror tension of moving through a space, not knowing what's around the corner, and simultaneously feeling kind of confident in yourself as you're doing it, and also immediately getting that confidence removed at almost every corner. And it really is something you just have to play to experience. When you become so familiar with the game's intricacies and menus and item organization and its enemies and the hallways of the police department, every nook and cranny, it just becomes comforting being in this place that's being overcome by this unknown virus when you are one of the lone people trying to stop it. And I think that's one of the things that also really helps the winter vibe here in Resident Evil 2, is that for the most part of the game, whenever you are playing, you are alone. It is you, a gun, and dark hallways with some of the best sound design that I've experienced in a game. From just the zombies to the rain constantly pounding down on the top of Raccoon City Police Department and blowing through the windows, and the sound of the creaking windows and doors and things. It's an incredible game and an incredible show of what the winter games mean to me. Next up is another sequel game, but we're going to be switching it up completely, kind of, and stick with me on this one.
BT! Got you.
Titanfall 2 does not seem to fit this criteria that I even myself have put forward for a winter game. Even if you're someone who loves the game, you might be a bit confused, but let me explain myself. Titanfall 2 is the first M-rated game that I ever personally received, and I got it the Christmas that it came out, in 2016. I got it for my newly acquired Xbox One, and I remember excitedly booting up the game and playing it on Christmas Day, for most of that day, in fact. There's just something about it that I, always look fondly back on that memory specifically of playing through a lot of the campaign that day. I really didn't know much about the game. I just got it at a friend's recommendation, and it is just a great game. If you haven't played it, please play it. It's like always on sale for like $5. The single player campaign is one of the few single player campaigns that I have completely replayed on hard mode. Currently doing that with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Please help me, I'm stuck on Pride and Joy. But that goes to show you just how much love I have for this campaign. And it's not only just nostalgia, it's a really, really good campaign and really great multiplayer that I wish they would have stuck with, because Apex Legends is just not the same as Titanfall 2's incredible movement system. But yeah, this one's a personal one for me, as I really do have fond memories of playing through and experiencing this campaign. It's all of its little twists and turns, and going through this journey with you, the pilot, and your mech BT. Yeah, it's just a little special one for me. Sticking with the specific to me games, Cyberpunk 2077. Now, if you are familiar with anything on my channel, you know I like this game just a little bit. Fun fact, my video on this just hit 900,000 views. We're maybe gonna hit 1 million one day. It might be like another year, but that'd be crazy. I had to go back and make sure I had not already talked about this in my winter video last year, and I had not, so, you know, I gotta do it here. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077, to me, is the epitome of this winter game feeling. You have a dark city that's like threatening to take and kill you and take all your money and all the things at every turn, while also feeling incredibly lonely as you can drive down its streets, seeing just walls and walls of technology and ads all gunning for your attention and your soul, essentially. It's an incredible story and an incredible game with some of the best characters I've ever experienced in a game. No, I've not played Red Dead Redemption 2 yet. That is on my very soon to play backlog. But from the atmosphere to the cyberpunk nature of the city and all of the themes that follow, it's one of the best games in general, in my opinion, that you can play, and is absolutely one of the best games you can play in winter. And that is when I played it. I first played this game the Christmas it came out on GeForce Now on a little MacBook Air, and it did not run very well, but it ran better than honestly most of everything else was running on at that point in time. But I vividly remember being up in the wee hours of Christmas morning of 2020, locked into Night City and loving every minute of it. And for the next few years, I would hop back into Night City just kind of on or around Christmas, just to kind of relive that feeling. I haven't done it in the last couple years, but I have very fond memories of doing so. Speaking of something I wish I had fond memories of, Pokemon. I did not grow up with Pokemon, but in the most recent years, I've been really getting into watching people play Nuzlocke and Let's Plays and all the things, specifically Mr. Fruit. And Heart Gold and Soul Silver, specifically Heart Gold, is a game that I have not played as much of as I would like. What I have played, I love it. It is truly one of the most nostalgic feeling vibe games, between the incredible pixel art style, the music, and just the atmosphere of all the towns that you step in with your Pokemon following you through like the grass. It's incredible. The only thing that would make this game better for me is if it had like changing seasons, like in Black and White, I believe, have the changing seasons. But even with that not being in Heart Gold, coming from someone who did not grow up with this game, it is an incredibly nostalgic feeling game. It feels like you're stepping back into time. And that kind of cozy feeling is very obviously associated with winter, so I figured I would put this on the list. I, again, have not played near as much as I would have liked. But it's a vibe, man. They really, as much as I have enjoyed actually playing Pokemon Legends ZA as of late, they really don't make them like they used to. It just ain't the same. And speaking of not making things the way they used to, man, I am on fire with these segues today. Dark Souls 1. Now, I did talk a bit about Dark Souls in general in my last video, but that was before I really had played a lot of the game's first entry. But now I have played over half the game. I've rang all the bells. I have descended into the horrid depths of Blighttown, slain Quelaag, and now I don't really know where to go. I'm going to be honest, and I kind of got stuck and just haven't played in a bit. But playing through over that first half of the game really solidified for me how great of a game it is. From the design to the pure atmosphere in Dark Souls 1 is really unmatched. Just the intentional music placing in all the different areas, more so the lack of music, just makes it such an atmospheric game, very similar to when you're walking down hallways in Resident Evil 2, when you're walking through villages, through sewers, wherever you may be in Dark Souls, and you just hear the chink, 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 chink of your armor clanging and reverberating throughout this world that is being, slowly decayed. Man, again, it is one of those things that it truly is not as common of a thing in games nowadays, because something that Resident Evil 2 and Dark Souls 1 I feel like have in common is the way they use sound, the way they use music, and the kind of intentional placing of both sound effects and music tracks to elevate the experience. For example, it's one that you've for sure heard a million times before, but Firelink Shrine. When you're leaving and entering Firelink Shrine from different locations, the music kind of fades out. But when you finally find like that shortcut down into the elevator into Firelink, there's no music. You just hear the elevator going down and down and down. You open up, you don't hear music, you walk out, you're like, where are you? And then slowly the Firelink Shrine theme fades in, and you instantly know where you are just from that. And it's such an impactful moment because of the lack of music going down and the kind of tension in just hearing the elevator noise, not knowing where you are going to end up. And man, I really just love the first half of Dark Souls 1. I'll get to the second half Sunday, but for now I really enjoyed that first half. Breath of the Wild is a game that I have trouble describing, similar to Tears of the Kingdom, but what Breath of the Wild has that I think Tears of the Kingdom doesn't is similar to Dark Souls 1, as previously mentioned, is the way that it uses space and silence. Very similar, in fact, to Dark Souls 1, because the music in Breath of the Wild is so intentionally placed when you are walking through a field. It's just very light piano riffs and little tiny melodies that don't linger too long. They don't overstay their welcome. It just kind of helps put you into the space of Hyrule that you are in, and is really incredibly relaxing. Sometimes I'm recently replaying Breath of the Wild, and sometimes I only have a little bit to play and hop in, and I just step in to a field at like night, or like as the sun is setting or rising, and hear just a little short piano medley play, and it's incredibly comforting. I could make an entire video, and I might someday, just about Breath of the Wild and its use of like the physical space you're traveling in, but also just like the space of sound. Very similar, again, to Dark Souls 1, as you're just listening to Link's footsteps for a lot of the time, and just it helps kind of ground you in the area and location that you're in. Very similar to walking through snow after like a big snowstorm. It's really quiet. Everything's quiet, there's no cars, whatever, and then you can just really hear your footsteps on the snow kind of echoing in the environment that you were in. And that's what I think both of these games kind of really contribute to that feeling of winter. And I'm going to start sounding like a broken record here a little bit, but Hollow Knight is also similar to Dark Souls 1 and Breath of the Wild in the, winter aspect, which is of course why they're on this list and why they really, to me, feel like winter, because even though all of these three games are pretty drastically different in how you play them, they all evoke this same dark, melancholic feeling of comforting loneliness. And Hollow Knight is pretty dang good at that. If you know, you know. I actually only first played Hollow Knight this year in preparation for Silksong, only to be incredibly humbled by Silksong and have to put that game down for quite a while. I haven't picked it back up in a minute, but Hollow Knight is truly an experience in and of itself, and if you have not played, I would highly recommend, particularly just for the vibes, man. Being able to explore this kind of rundown kingdom that's being overgrown in certain areas, and it's just really dark and depressing, but then also having places like Green Path where there is life kind of overtaking what was lost and forgotten, and you get a little bit of joy coming back into the world while you're trying to just truly kind of fix everything as the Hollow Knight. This is very similar to Dark Souls 1 and Breath of the Wild as well. This is a game that has been talked about a lot in the YouTube video essay space, so I could make a video on it, but I don't, I don't know, I don't personally have anything like new to add to my time with Hollow Knight, but it was a very meditative one, particularly when you get to the City of Tears in Hollow Knight. This area, to me, is the one that really was one of my favorites to not only explore in the game, but really emphasizes this feeling of winter. It is a entire city that is constantly, somehow mysteriously, it's not that mysterious if you kind of play the area around it, always drenched with rain coming from this like basin above it. Even though it is like an underground city, it's always raining And the atmosphere here is just immaculate. Like looking out of a window to the rain kind of hitting on the window while the music for the City of Tears is playing is something I did quite often every time I would return to this area in searching for whatever I was currently searching for. Usually it was just like figuring out where the heck to go next. But it is, man, it was an experience that all of the best games on this list and otherwise really sit and make you go, man, this is one of those games, you know? And for me personally, obviously, I really love when a game evokes the feelings of winter, the feelings of comfort and warmth and loneliness, all wrapped together in a way that only some of the best media, to me personally, can do. But of course, those are just some more of my personal games that I feel like fit the winter vibe. I would love to hear your thoughts and your opinions on anything I said, or any games that really feel like winter to you. I hope you have a fantastic day. Be sure to let me know your thoughts and everything down in the comments below. And I'll see you all in the next one.